you, Angela. Good afternoon, everyone. I want to give a special greeting to everybody that's with us, especially to the women entrepreneurs in this event of the Global Week of Entrepreneurship, to which CIPE has joined as a sponsor because our mission is to strengthen the role of democracy through private enterprises with initiatives that seek to empower women so that we can assure good democratic governments and empower the corporate structure and promote transparency in business. For today, the Department of Latin America and the Caribbean of CIPE, together with other companies, has decided to program a series of events. And the goal is to show the challenges that women have, women entrepreneurs have, especially in this case, in the case of Colombia. And Colombia has been a country in which the role of the private enterprise has been fundamental for its development. And in the last years, especially, and everything that has to do with the development of the nation in the post-conflict era. For this exercise, we wanted to invite three leader women. Two of them are from Colombia, who have characterized for being women who stand out significantly in the corporate world and in the entrepreneur world. For today, we are with Dr. Lina Velez. She's an attorney. She's got a specialization in business law and corporate law, and for 18 years, she headed the Chamber of Commerce in Medellin. She's an example of a lot of different works. From the public and private sector, she's led important projects in the benefit of the commercial sectors in the region and competitiveness and Medellin and the region surrounding that area. I'm also a Dr. Decci Ibarra, who's a public administrator with a master's in public administration for Latin American leaders, and she's an expert in borders. For 11 years, she's led the Putumayo Chamber of Commerce, and she has worked in administration, coordination, advice, and direction of groups and projects and organizations. And on behalf of the CIPE, we're also with Connie Gonzalez, she's got a master's in Latin American Studies. She is currently a senior program officer in the Center for Empowerment of Women of CIPE, and she's based in El Salvador. Before she arrived in the organization, she worked with AID in issues as communication, security, transnational crime, democracy, good governance, good corporate governance, and she has promoted the business of the United States in the region. So I want to welcome her, and I want to welcome everyone else. I want to thank them. And after some questions and answers and a discussion, after the session, you may ask questions through the Q&A link that is down there below on the screen. I also want to show you, for your information, hello, I can no longer hear her. Something happened. Can anyone else hear this? Let me check with my team.
Perdona, creo que su micrófono no está prendido.
¿Se acaba de desactivar?
Ya está bien ahora, gracias.
Okay.
Thank you.
¿Ver el mapa de Colombia?
Can you see the Colombian map?
Si quiere volver a mostrarlo, quizás.
Ok. Déjenme, no estoy pudiendo mostrarlo. Intentaré más adelante.
I cannot show it. I'll try a little bit later, but just so you know where we are. Antioquia and Medellin are towards the north of the country, and Putumayo is in the southern border with Ecuador. They are very different areas,
más que escuchar
but
a
I
ustedes,
think
para mí es muy
that
importante
more
escuchar
than listening to me, it'll be important to listen to our guests.
diría a la
The first
doctora
question I would ask Dr. Lina and Dr. Decci would be, could you please share, within the context of the regions in which you are at, what is your business sector like? What are the female entrepreneurs like there? Dr. Lina, can you please begin? Angela, thank you very much. I must thank CIPE, of course, and the organizers of the event for this important meeting in a critical moment. And there's so many challenges in the society with regards to gender. In the case of Medellin, the city I represent, the Chamber of Commerce, is right in the middle of the country, and it belongs to the region, to the industrial region that is the most important region industry-wise in Colombia. The big companies, the large companies all have headquarters in Medellin. That's why it is so important that we talk to Decci for Putumayo so that we can see that within one country, there's huge differences. For us, in a city like Medellin, the region has always been known for this hard work and entrepreneurship. When we compare ourselves to other Chamber of Commerces, it's usual that we see this region that I represent. And obviously, we've been working for 4 or 5 years to identify who or what is led by women, what business is led by women. In the case of the Chamber of Commerce of Medellin, 40% of the people who are entrepreneurs are women. And when we try to see what their sectors are, then we see the relevance. Almost 58% of the initiatives have to do with companies of social services or personal services. That is the most relevant area, with everything that has to do with restaurants, hotels, services, trade, and the financial sector as well. With this, I want to highlight the importance that women have in the Medellin community. Sorry. Thank you. Dr. Decci, can you share what is your region like and what is the Putumayo entrepreneur like, the female entrepreneurs? Thank you so much, Maria. Thank you, CIPE, for the invitation. It's such a pleasure to share this with you. As Dr. Lina said, the difference between Medellin and Putumayo is, well, we are in the southern part of the country, in the border with Ecuador and Peru. If you can see the map, you can see us. Our region allows us to connect both countries through the river, and also through the Putumayo River, we go to Brazil. Obviously, this gives us an important connectivity possibility. So it's been 8 years now that there's a bridge connecting both areas and some new and informal ways to cross, but this means that they are not legal. I mean, because of the nature or because of the geography of the border, we can just cross over. There are certain distances in regards to time. I'm talking about 14 hours by land from Bogota to the city. And there's something about Putumayo. We've got two capitals. Moco, which is the political capital, and Puerto Asís, which is the second most important city, or the one that has the most population. We have an Andean climate, it's Amazon, but we were colonized by different groups, and this has marked our history. We've got 14 indigenous peoples, and we also have palenques. The wealth of culture, because of the indigenous populations and Europeans, is huge. More than 50% of the population was victimized because of the different conflicts that Colombia has had, and obviously this this supports, this has to do with the programs. We're a relatively new department. We've only been around for 30 years. Before we depended on other areas administratively. So this gives us a maturity. I mean, we're still growing. And business-wise, we've got almost 12,600 employees, people and companies. 81% are people. I don't know if we all talk, I mean, if we speak the same language, natural people or just humans, and then it's companies. In 2015, we did analysis of how many men and how many women, and in that year, 47% was led by women, and the rest was led by men. This year, 2020, with the new possibilities, we managed to identify that 51% is led by women and 49% led by men. Most of these, this is not 99% of them are micro enterprises, and 97% of all of the businessmen are micro, and most of them are family owned, families who are dedicated to commerce and providing services and tourism, arts and crafts, and reshaping some products. That's the base, let's say, of the department. Thank you. Now I would ask Connie to share a little bit about the Center of Empowering of Women from CIPE, and for those of you who are just joining us, thank you. It is a pleasure to share with Dr. Ibarra and Ellis, supporting you, and thank you for the space to share a little bit about our work in CIPE, together with the Center of, or founded the Center for Empowering of Women 2 years ago. And the purpose is to promote leadership and the experience of improving the surroundings and the business climate for women. Besides moving forward in successful strategies between the hosts and our regional offices, as we have in a regional office in Colombia. We work to ensure democracies, free markets that serve the most vulnerable populations, which are women. And today I'd like to share 3 ways in how we are supporting women around the world through several initiatives and projects that we have in the center. The first one is the Centers for Business for Women, Resources for Women. In those centers, we offer a variety of services and training, including basic finances to use of social networks and others. And also, we offer 8 services that we have identified that women lack. These are some hurdles that we see that a lot of women face when they want to start their own business, such as like somebody to take care of their children. So in these business centers, we've got centers with teachers that take care of the children and women. And so they also have access to a computer. We offer these services, additional services, that make the work of female entrepreneurs much easier, because they're not worried about their children while they're at work. Our first center of resources was created in Papua New Guinea. And we have helped over 3,800 women. Right now, we are seeing some opportunities to expand this model here in Latin America. The second type of support that we offer in the Center of Women is the creation of national agendas for business for women. This was provided by the Chamber of Commerce of the United States. These agendas are a process and a product per se that facilitate the collective action between business women and other members of the society with political authorities to identify which are the national priorities that promote the political change and legislative change. We have worked with these agendas in several countries. Our efforts with the Chamber of Commerce of Women in Bangladesh. And through this process, we managed to open a portfolio of over $90 million in loans for over 10,000 women, entrepreneur women. And finally, the third thing that we provide through the center is promoting leadership of women and business women through the creation of networks. These networks attract or bring women together to increase the power of their voice so that we can have a stronger voice and so that we can work in a collective manner. We have a national network in Nigeria that has an agenda of business for women and so supports or promotes the voice of over 4 million women today. Today we had the opportunity of bringing some of our members and partners, colleagues from Nepal, Bangladesh, Nigeria, all of them together to an event in Central America. And this is really just to show the success that we have had to attract women throughout the world and with one common goal. What we have seen with our work is that in these three areas, we have to think about some integrated support. We will continue working to strengthen these processes in countries such as Colombia. Thank you very much. Thank you, Connie. After hearing the first question, this is not only a scenario of
and also of realities where women can only be entrepreneurs, where they have made a decision to be
they have decided to do their own
the owners of their
businesses. They must have challenges, but
businesses, and where they have challenges and
obviously
many
there's a lot of
challenges ahead. I'd like to
I would like
go
to
on
continue
asking to our two panelists from Colombia what have been the achievements and the
what's the main
potentialities that you see
potentials
in
you
your
see in
respective
your women, the different
especially in
projects
these
of
business
women?
projects? I don't know if you.
I don't know. Decci?
First, I'd like to highlight in Putumayo is that I'm a history teacher. Is that Putumayo has been evolving. We have gone up to peaks and then we fell. Some have been formal economies, others not. For example, what happened with rubber, oil, and other crops. We had a situation that we call Catara in Colombia, and that it had a very serious economic effect. Nowadays, we have a great support from different sources of cooperation at international level, and all the agreements that we have, the agreement from Havana, the agreement for the normalization. We're also speaking about vulnerable populations and so on. So all of these cyclical situations that have marked us through history have meant very important achievements for us, but now we have to see for the others. We have adjusted to the nature or the conditions of our process of growth. First, we started to solve problems regarding food and then transport. We have a very important group for transport, and it's more true than in Putumayo, more complex. And the reality, we then have the development of the oil industry, and we have these businesses that have come up with quality, with work health, and all those things that have allowed us to 8 years we have started in around the use of technology, the change of the Then we started with tourism, and with tourism, we moved to the products, services, promotions, and each of them has made us, and we have achievements in each of them. We've been in the productive transformation projects by way of these initiatives that have come both from national and international level, and this is how we are nowadays based very much in projects. We are a region that work in many projects, and we consider that we have a very high capacity to work on these projects. We've been developing shipyards, for example. Our need to move over the river, we made us to work on these biggest, but very few companies really deal with shipyards in our country. We're working with international sense in sustained promotion products. We have a region that is visualized, more recognized. For example, in Putumayo, I would think if this question had been asked more than 10 years ago, wouldn't be the same that we're able to achieve this. And so women are leaders in and born leaders, and this complex has made women has assumed this work with these projects, and to follow as always we've been empowered to go ahead with our families, and we have many professionals that allow us to work. And I think all the chambers in the country have most of our women. We have, so to say, an army of women, and there are many projects, and these projects aim at vulnerable populations and also gender and women issues. And I think we've learned because it's not an easy thing to really when we have to solve so many problems at the same time. But each of these activities have allowed us these small attempts that are going to a development with public policies that have
Muchas
consolidated
gracias,
us.
doctora.
Thank you very much,
Tenemos
Doctor.
este escenario
Um, we
de
have
un
this
país con una
scenario
base
and
cultural
country with this
marcado por un tema de
range
abundancias,
of
como lo es la doctora
cultures
Decci,
and good
y
times,
creo que
as she's saying.
representaría a
And then I'd
Colombia
like to
como un
ask
escenario
Dr.
en
Lina
una región del
how
país
this
tan
scenario
próspera
in an
como lo es
area that
Medellín,
is so
donde la industria tiene
prosperous,
su
where
mayor,
industry has
mejor
its
capacidad de mostrarse
best
internacionalmente.
capacities to
¿Cómo es ese
show
papel de la
itself
mujer y
international.
las
What is the role of women
potencialidades que tiene?
and the potentialities you have here? Yeah, Angela, that's right. That's the important things that we have in these institutions, and where they have to face so many conflicts. In the case of Medellin, we had a very serious conflict into drug dealing that you all know. The fact is that it is still an entrepreneurial region, a business region, and we also have institutional solidity. So when we speak in Medellin about the projects that we work for equity and this gender equity, we count on the support of many institutions here. We have institutions that are private, other public institutions and universities, and where we have a very important goal is to create a collaboration scenario between private and public so that businesses can foster more and more the knowledge management and the influence in the public policies for specific gender issues. So let's say on the specific thing of the project that we execute along with the Chamber of Medical Trade Chamber, we have been able to dedicate a lot of time to knowledge management. So and these businesses with women to have a very clear point of what is the level of unemployment, the level of employment, the level of wages, what are the businesses, the sectors where fewer women are, and try to close those gaps. The second goal is the incidents in the in the public agenda. We all know, and the family responsibility that women have, not only to raise the children, but also education. So we try to create pacts, actually agreements with the businesses, for example, with the private business, so that, for example, when children have to just get the school report, for example, to their school, there is an openness from the businesses to understand the importance that a mother has in this point through the education process. So we tried by way of talks to have this influence on the public agenda. Then affirmation of that transference of knowledge. We do it this a lot with experience among all of us with mentoring businesses, for example, they are giving us a space so that we can explain to women which they need to train themselves, where do they have to get more leadership, or what this leadership entails, because undoubtedly when we look at these that I was talking about, there are still big gaps in the number of women that participate in the boards, executive boards of women that are managers or part of the high administration. And besides, with this pandemic, that is a very world, a very serious situation, as we all know, we are trying to let it be very clear where are the areas where women are involved and to get to hotels, restaurants, and cafeterias that are the sectors that some of the sectors that were more affected. So we're trying with the public policies and the economy see how we can prioritize this and give opportunities of employment for women. Thank you, Dr. Lina. I'd like to ask Honey, after listening to these two scenarios with so many results and potentialities, but with so different transitions, how can be an transformation what we have so that this business can develop themselves more and can be actually successful? Thank you, Anna. Well, this is interesting because there are individual things and in each part of Colombia, we can also see that sometimes there are many common challenges, many shared challenges. So I believe that one way, a very important way uh, is to work is to see reality of where we are with the different projects. This is the get information from entrepreneur women, from their associations, for their organizations, from their commissions, from members of the civil society that exist and already have very key and basic knowledge about it. And based on this information, then we can see what are the best ways to have a response on that. And what we've seen many times as we share challenges that these collective actions to bring people together, to bring women together, or societies or institutions that were not having a dialogue before has a very important potential to let their voice be heard and potentialities that are important for the growth of the country. We see that there are some common challenges like market accesses, stereotypes regarding women, the extra load of work as they work at home and their children education, the regulatory frameworks that sometimes do not favor the growth of, and development of women. And what we've seen is that more we can join and exchange our experiences and stories, the better will be empowered and much more powerful, so to say, to make a significant change happen. What we have seen with our women and with women businesses, that there is a lot of interest in knowing other stories, because sometimes this personal change of an exchange of stories let us see that there is a way to face the challenges and overcome them. So I think this is one of the most fundamental works from the CIPE, and based on that, we get to make very much bigger changes, like, for example, changes in the law frameworks, opening access to the financial markets, to new markets for their products, for example. So all of this is based on the shared experiences, and we grow from down up. So I think it is important to go on sharing these stories, to know everyone's reality, and then have much more success altogether. Thank you. I'd like to go a bit deeper when it comes to challenges, because I think that women, there are women from many other parts of the world that are listening to us. And as well, and said, sharing these stories is very important to learn and also to overcome the challenges ahead. There are common challenges like, let's say, culture, to, for example, let the products reach the markets. And also, it is important to know where we can position ourselves so that our businesses thrive. I'd like to ask Lina and Rexy about the particular challenges that you are facing in the current circumstances of the country, for example, the post-conflict, because both regions were involved, and they have been very affected by the conflict. So with different circumstances, but and now we have something additional that we all share, and it is the pandemic. So Carolina, could you tell us a bit about the particular challenges that you, where these surveys and these assessments are I detecting and identifying as most important, and how you can share them? Yes, Angela, I think the biggest challenge we are facing is school, and in particular in the case of women, it is a more serious problem, because once a country as Colombia was able to show a high rate of girls in the school processes, this year, the school has been almost suspended, and the challenge is, and the greatest challenge is make these women go back to school. And the second challenge is the access to digital, because we in our levels, we are connected, talking so natural, but the truth is that the challenge of digital, I see it from two perspectives. One, which is connectivity, how the country will be able to offer access to connectivity for all the regions. This is one very important challenge regarding infrastructure. But then it is other the culture, how we'll be able that each of the business women and every business women have access to a software, to a computer, and minimum training to be able to make use of that equipment. And finally, and not less important, is the transformation towards the digitalization and virtual culture, because the vaccine will reach, but the COVID is for us to stay. The digital transformation world has been so fast, and this change means that these women need to be able to adapt to it. Thank you, Dr. Lina. Decci, what can you tell us now? Well, speaking about the challenges, and I had this in my head, I turned a bit of, uh, um, turn a bit, because the challenges for Antic Mother are very different from my case, and very different from the complexity, for example, from the rivers to, for example, tourism. They are different. So w- it, it has to do with the culture. in the sectors we work. And today, on top of all of that, we have the pandemic. It won't change. There's no way back. The vaccine will reach, and I hope it comes very soon. But we are not the same. The challenges are not the same they were. And I think that in this dinner with different challenges, I'd like to introduce some and present some of them. I think, and that we've seen a lot of the women condition and this multitask. And I'm ask myself as a one, what makes us be so complex and carry out so many tasks? And this is something that we cannot I can be a mother, teacher of my children, and then a professional, and then entrepreneur because businesses at a time, but the time doesn't multiply. So I wonder why we do what we do. I mean, we are businesswomen, but with which purpose? What is the goal? Why do we do it? And this generates this like emotional turmoil. Why of the things? And in this exercise, we say, well, we try to improve time, and improve time is means being more efficient. One of the big challenges have to do with digital. Digital, we were falling behind even before this panel. Putumayo had one just single way of land connection, another just one line of internet and one internet and one only one line of electricity supply. One fails and we have none, but then we have a very limited access, and then the culture, the digital culture is very limited, and now it comes technology, and then, so one thing is the phone, another thing is to use it for my business. So we see a great, huge challenge when it comes to digital, and that we face as institutions and the citizenship as a whole. With the MAC, we have a center of digital transformation with the big, but it is still very small, the size compared to the size of the challenge we have as a turn. So we are facing 60% of the users. We're much more interested in getting trained on this, but we have still many challenges ahead. Another main has to do with innovation and creativity. In Putumayo, we are resilient. Life has taken us in these ups and downs, so we have a lot of resilience, but so much resilience at times. Let us say, let's wait for what happens, and then we have to do it. So we need to have innovation and how we can face the situations and needs that we need to face, and we're working also and resources for these. Another component has to do with administration. Businesses today need to be accountants, managers, tax specialists, lawyers, human resources specialists, and all these skills need to be updated and upgraded. But as the time is the higher, most valuable asset, and this micro entrepreneur, so I'm the business owner, so I serve and I do everything and make my time to train is really limited. And so when I can pay other people. So how can we simplify this information that allows business and women men to have their own knowledge and, and keep the businesses, but without risks? There is something that has a lot to do with these indigenous communities, something sensible. But when it comes to this, women have had a very important role, played a very important role. Nonetheless, for certain decisions they cannot make on their own if they don't consult with the some leaders in the community, or and this made women be more timid than others. When it comes to financial things, and it's a barrier that we need to face, and it's not easy to understand, and we're working how we can support on that without or keeping harmony with the culture. Then incentives, as Connie was saying, one of the projects that you have has to do in how to generate these supports, economic supports that allow business women and businessmen to not only tell, yeah, you can work, but also so that we help you to, and that we help you to concrete that dream, to make that dream turn not only to dream, so to generate the machinery, the equipment, and the education needed for the endeavor. This is some of the challenges that we have as a territory. We still need to involve more in a more about way the institutions. We are still feeble, so to say. We're very limited. This the institutional support is very small, and yet with this distribution, we don't have a strong ton. The most important is acidics that then move on with 22%, and both together are not a big city with over 50% of population of city. It's very difficult to and here whole city, and this is besides all the challenges of connection, connectivity, infrastructure, we have a lot of tasks to take on. And they are not problems, they are opportunities to improve. They're huge, and we're working what we are able to do. And as we manage, and we are sure that we need to be mature enough, not only institutionally, but also in terms of business evolution, so that we can get to be the big entrepreneurs in all the sectors. We have big businesses today, and we're really proud of that. And we want to set the example so that entrepreneurs see what is going there. That's the example to follow. And so these for us are big entrepreneurs. When we take them to another regions, they're small, but for us are very big, and we make a great effort every day to make this exercise more dynamic and face the challenges from the need. Thank you, Dr. Connie. I have a question now. This morning, you had the opportunity to have guests from other continents, women from other continents. And before the challenges Dr. Decci and Lina have just presented, do you see that in other places challenges are different? Do you have any other to add, or there are very different challenges in other regions in comparison to what we have here in Colombia with our businesses in our regions? Thank you for the question. I think that it is interesting. In fact, I've been in two events this morning, one in Central America and another with our colleagues from Russia. And what we hear is that there are very important challenges that are very common. And one of the things that I would mention has to do with the culture. Now the associations of women can face these cultural issues as well as they want to grow and make joint work. Obviously, every country has its own particularities. One of our works in Nigeria, for example, had to do with the guarantees for the loans and owners of these or traders for the loans and finance access, and this is generated as well in different countries, but in a little bit different things when we are speaking about different guarantees, for example. So what we could see is that uh, there is something really positive that we can share these stories and learn one from the others. There are countries that are a bit ahead. We can see there are regions inside the same country that are a bit ahead, and we can learn from the lessons they learned before, from their exact cases of success, and how they had solutions and a success in the work they've done. So to see how they can replicate them in a bit different places or different situations. What we can see in the end that it is that it's very important that the private sector is sitting at the table and having this being part of this dialogue so that we can give responses to these challenges that we face. Um, in the situation in the pandemic this year, we really need to make sure that business women and entrepreneur women are trying to give an answer to see what could be the possible solutions to face these challenges that we are facing. There's a lot of work to be done, but little by little, I think we can learn
we can apply other lessons learned, other experiences in our context so that we can achieve the success we really are looking for. I'd like to end with my questions, something that I think is very important, and it is before these women that and this business women and these women, but those who haven't had, I'm speaking about the rural women that don't see the potential they have, the power they have to start to develop this potential. I'd like to ask Lina and Decci, with this women and what message, what we can do, and what are the public policies. And one of the things, as I was saying, is the role of the representation of the private with the before the government. So what do you see about this? How we can this percentage of women that could be with us in this discussion, and also looking for an answer.
Well, for me, Angela, in the case of women in the field, I think that the word is association. To promote all models of association is indispensable to be able to cover the important demand, and that is work that is for government and municipalities to structure models of integration regarding offer. This is indispensable for the rural areas. Women have so much capability, so much skill to deliver, and they shouldn't be dependent on the income of others. They must practice, a woman is capable in her own home to take care of 3 children or more and can still generate income for herself and help society. So I think that what we must do is break these chains of fear, because we as women are very capable of doing whatever society needs of us. Thank you. Dr. Decci, I think that we, we I'm sorry, the audio is cutting out. We do not have a way in which we can speak. There is no motivation, there's no expression, and I think there is an opportunity. So during this very early age, we can identify and help people develop their skills, and this will generate change throughout the generations. Then we have the case of Putumayo. We are a border area, and crossing the river, we are already dealing with dollars. But regarding academics, if we don't face change, we will never overcome problems. This is a very interesting subject. I also consider this subject of generating spaces to promote. I think some there is some space to work. We have to monitor and do follow-ups. We don't ask people what happened to you in the end. We are working with technological institutes. We have to arrive to the university level, and this would make things easier. But I think that from elementary school all the way through to college, we have to have a more business-oriented focus. And regarding entrepreneurship, that's not very clear now, but everyone deals with a small part of it. We always have to try to integrate things as much as we can and be comprehensive. We might go into more specific areas such as patent and branding. All these things add up, and we still are coming short on this. Things that may be important to help the business women to reach their goals. I think this is one of the most important needs. Thank you, Dr. Decci. Well, I think that today there are many things that have been made very clear regarding women in Colombia, that are business women in Colombia. They can create their own companies, even if they do not have a lot of resources available to them. For example, the Putumayo department, they have a lot of natural resources, but they still need some institutions that have been holding back their development. Or there might be very industrially developed regions, such as that of the Chamber of Commerce of Medellin. But and I think that we have discussed how there are some subjects that are fundamental that allow women to progress. One, looking from outside, for example, to mention that the subject that Dr. Lina mentioned regarding development of potential, closing gaps, numbers, opportunities to allow people that are working in entrepreneurship can help channel these opportunities. Regarding the work that the chambers of commerce are doing, they must relate women one to another to create job niches. We have also talked about challenges in the field or in rural areas where this type of work regarding women has not been developed as much, which is important. As Dr. Lina said, we must have association projects that can help these women and potentiate their efforts, but also in big cities and medium cities, we must achieve training processes. This must include all regions, not only the developed regions. Schooling is essential for this to have better opportunities in the future. We could see that today with the pandemic, technology has been very significant. I know we have repeated this, but the world is not the same anymore. But even though the world is not the same, we can see challenges in virtuality and virtual communication, and women need to be prepared to face this. This is a different scenario to be able to advance with your business. But you also have very specific challenges, such as the indigenous population, indigenous women. They face different challenges, cultural challenges. There's a lot to learn here, and we must create specialties that will allow them to prosper in their business ventures. And there's also a lot of work to be done with institutions. This is being developed. We must see what is lacking so that we can foster women and help them develop their productive projects. I would also like to say that I would like to tell women from other countries that Colombian women are very resilient. They are very hardworking. They are family women, mothers. They respond and work on all fronts. And all of you that are hearing us are welcome to learn more about the hardworking women of Colombia. We have 3 minutes left. And I thank the women that have been here with us today and shared their experiences. And I would like to thank you for listening to us, Dr. Lina. Well, I think that the importance of alliances will help this joint effort. And as you said, women need men as well. The only difference is that nature has given us different challenges, but we have to congratulate and give all women support so that we can together close the gap. Thank you very much. Dr. Decci? Well, the invitation to our entrepreneur women and business women, well, we have a lot of threats. There's a lot of challenges, but we must always look for well-being. Well-being has many different definitions, but I'm talking about the overall well-being. We have to set goals, have purpose, and look for what adjusts to our needs the most. If we have daughters, we can give them an example. If we see businesswomen, we have to support them. We are an example of the development, of good results of evolution. We have had positive stories. We have been able to grow despite all the challenges. We are women, mothers, employees, entrepreneurs. So we are carrying forward. And for our dear gentlemen, this isn't a competition. I would like to always say that we are not competing against you. Just because we grow doesn't mean you have to stop growing. Of course, I just want conditions to be present that will allow my daughter to become the businesswoman or entrepreneur she wants to be. We are always looking for well-being for the community in the end. Perfect. Thank you. Connie? Thank you. The message that I would like to share is that for entrepreneur women, you inspire us with your perseverance. You do not give up and you carry on forward. And I would also like to say that a personal source of inspiration is to see women in positions of power, in positions of leadership that can bring on this change that we are seeking. And that I'm very happy to see or to have accompanied the doctors from Colombia here, because I see this as a live example of women that are in a leadership position, and this is very inspirational for myself. Thank you very much. Well, we conclude this event. Thank you very much for our panelists that have been here with us today. We hope that we could have given you our experiences and inspired you to become entrepreneurs and start businesses across the world. Good afternoon. Thank you very much. Have a nice afternoon. Thank you very much.